The Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. I believe Betty Ann is traveling and Jim has another meeting tonight, so he will not be here. Can't be in two places at once. And again, as I asked in prior meetings, please direct any questions through the chair. With that, we have our new chief, Chief Bucciarati, here tonight. I hope I pronounced your name right, Chief.
Okay, it's Bucciarati, but that's fine.
Okay, well, I was close.
You were close. It's good.
Let's see. In that regard, we have the police department budget tonight. Chief, I will turn it over to you if you want to go through your categories, and members, if you have any questions, if you can hold them till the end, fine. If you need to, blurt them out because you absolutely have to, please run them through the chair. But Chief, it's on you.
Okay, thank you very much. I have just a quick opening statement for you regarding the budget. I'd like to thank you all for your time tonight as we work through the 22-23 budget for the police department. I share First Selectwoman Dragonis' stance of being transparent in our budgeting process and showing you each where we're spending the taxpayers' money. In that line, I'd like to take you through each line of my budget. As a new chief, I have a different philosophy on budgeting. I don't plan on asking for more money than I need and then giving back a large sum of money at the end of the year. I understand that this is a work in progress and a living document. And as chairman, you yourself has said in a past workshop, this is a living document. So we're aware of the financial challenges that the town now faces. And we understand that each town department is asking for a slice of the pie and that the amount of money we have is finite. To that end, this year so far, we secured a sizable donation and are trading in several unused police vehicles to secure a new car, no cost to the town. I have delayed the implementation of a program to standardize our policy management and distribution till next year. That would have been a significant cost. I'm putting it off. That being said, the police department will work with the town's administration in doing whatever we can to assist with the shortfall. You'll see that most of my increases in my budget are due to contractual obligations, training, and the implementation of necessary items as required by recent changes in the law. I've gone through some of our expenses. I've eliminated things that I know are not necessary. And as we progress through, I'll share some of my ideas to lower costs and to point out things that I need to look into more. So that being said, I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see the spreadsheet?
Yeah, you're good. You're good, Chief.
Okay. So just starting off, I've put in all of our lines here that we have along the left-hand side, all of our numbers. I've gone back to 27-18 and got some actual numbers. I've looked at the budget for 2021, the proposed percentage of changes, the proposed 2021, I'm sorry, the 21-22 per the chief, some of the actual numbers, and here are my proposals for this year. Bottom line, it's $4,660,703. It represents a 4.92% increase from the proposed 2021-2022 budget. I've highlighted some of the areas that are bigger, that require some explanation, but I tend to go through each line with you real quick and just show you how I got to these numbers, what was left to me by the previous chief, and some of the changes that I want to make. So I've broken it out into each line. You have my salary here per contract. It's public knowledge. The deputy chief, which was a larger increase, we plan on filling that second deputy chief spot this year. The deputy chief salary, taking into part contractual raises, will be $105,223.41. Doubling that is $446,000. That increase last year, the spot wasn't filled. So there was money left in that line that wasn't was taken out. So that's why the increase is there. Our school resource officers, that line was separate. I'm not exactly sure why it is separate, but it is separate from our regular uniform officers. That represents 2 grade A patrolmen. Salary is $82,629 per piece per contract. Taking into account their raise, and you'll see that's $165,258. Our secretaries and clerks, just a 2.49% contractual raise will bring it to $107,989. Going down to the uniform police, I broke it down by position. We have a 260-day work year. These are rates effective as of July 22nd or July of 2022. And these are their salaries. You have a 2.49% contract increase. I applied that also to shift differential and to working in a higher classification. So if there's no supervisor on, the officer in charge would get paid at a sergeant's rate. And taking into account the contractual increase, I adjusted those numbers to arrive at this final number here. Supernumerary officers, I left this at $20,000. We're gonna probably have 3 supernumeraries this year, and we'll try to fit their training in where we can. I'm just trying to keep the line low for now. Crossing guards, this is what we have. This is their rate. This was their rate last year. This is gonna be their rate this year. I didn't account for any raise on this. We have 1 parking attendant and 2 crossing guards. Board of Police Commissioners, this is maintained steady. I didn't see a need to change it. Overtime. So overtime, I left at $150,000. It's been steady that way for the last few years. I know in the last few years we've gone over. Taking into account what's been going on, I left it that way. Next year, as I complete my first year here, I'll get a better handle on where we're spending overtime and how I can change it and what I could budget for to give you an accurate number for next year. I'll go off based on what we actually spend and where we spend it. We are moving to a electronic scheduling system, which will actually give me a little better idea on where we're spending that money. I could run reports and figure out how we're replacing shifts. So it'll be a little easier. Longevity, contractual. The only change I made here was Commander Scharf is expected to retire. That drops $2,842 off the total for a total of $45,364. Chairman Sawicki had me take out survivor benefits the last time, so I won't go over that. So purchase technical services. This is where you may have some questions. And we pay about $14,000 a year to the South Central Criminal Justice. They provide us with a variety of services such as testing, entry-level testing, interviews, advice. We are also a member of their radio network. In case of a multi-jurisdictional emergency, we can communicate with other police departments. So that cost is accurate. I verified that. Our physical agility benefit, that's per contract. Officers who pass the Cooper physical test are entitled to a bonus. We'll be doing that this March. EAP program is something that's necessary, for our officers, for our well-being. The Police Accountability Act required us to do psychological testing. It hasn't been done yet. We are going to do it this month. I scheduled the psychologist to come here on site to do the visits on site. We are required to do 20% of the department, and that'll be 8 officers. We'll get 8 officers done this February. We're going to have to do 8 more in July to be compliant with the law. Polygraph testing, $900. This is a pre-employment requirement by post that we test all of our officers, even lateral candidates, for polygraphs. They have to take one. Drug screening, this is another thing required by the Act. The cheapest price that I could find, I actually found while I was working in Fairfield, was $195 per test. And this person will come and do them on site. So there's no overtime required to travel to a doctor's office to take a test there. We can get them all done here, probably 7 a.m. and 3 a.m. We'll catch the officers as they go. It is a certification requirement for our officers to do that. So it's nothing, again, it's required by law. And behavioral health assessments, these are psychological exams that are required for candidates for pre-employment. If they haven't had one in the prior 5 years, we have to send them. So this is budgeted for that. That gives me 28,680 in that line. Does anybody have any questions on that line while I'm here?
I think we're okay.
Okay. So moving on to training. I'll have a better breakdown next year as to what we need. The biggest thing that I did this year is the training rate. It was previously calculated at $56 per hour. That was too low. The average rate is closer to 60, maybe even a little more. We are required to undergo 12 hours of firearms training. We are required to undergo 60 hours. Not everybody is 60 hours, but there are other classes that we send people to for certification. We can maintain certification hours over the 3-year period that our certification lasts. So I have that money budgeted in there. I am a firm believer in keeping our officers trained. We do need to be up to date on some training. I'm in the process of doing that with our officers now. College degrees, this is contractual. We have to pay out for officers that have their college degrees. K-9, we have 2 K-9s. This $10,000 is going to cover the cost of any training and kennel and housing costs they may need. There is a separate line for K-9 expenses such as food and things. I'll get to that later. Our technical training, we're required for taser recertification to fire 2 cartridges each year. We have to purchase those 2 cartridges. I have to still go through an inventory of our armory and see what we have there. This number could change if we have enough cartridges. I left it in there for now. Recruit training, if we get a recruit who's new, they have to go to the police academy. These are the costs that are associated with that. They did go up. There are alternatives to post also. There are Milford Academy, Waterbury Academy. We will look for availability first and then the best price. And then the instructor costs, we do have in-house instructors that do a majority of our training, such as firearms, use of force. We have officers that are trained in methods of instruction. So we depend on them to administer some training. One of the things that you'll see with the body cameras is mandated training of an hour. We're trying to do that on duty with officers that are certified to do it. So it costs, the cost is less. So the total for this line is $231,588. The repairs and maintenance for motor vehicles. I just went off for the actual for the last 4 years the average was 37.5. I tacked on a 5% inflation rate just because things are getting more expensive. I ended up at $40,000. This one is a little bit complex. This is our other purchase services and maintenance. I'm going through this as I go along, and I'm finding things that we need and we don't need. And the things that I've highlighted here are things that we don't need and we're being budgeted for. So the American copy, I'll just start off at the top. This is going to be lower. I eliminated a copier that we have and a printer. So we should be seeing reduced costs with this. Our intoximeter, it needs recertification. That's just a cost we can't avoid. Same thing with our call recorder that records our 911 calls on our phone lines coming into the building. Where I've highlighted the Identikit American Time Management, I zeroed those out. We weren't using them. Pitney Bowes, that's for our postage. Kirk Products is for fire extinguishers. So the Cogent APHIS system, that was done away with about a year ago. The state went to a different system called IDEMIA. We no longer use it. So the 4250 that was in there reduced to 0. MagnaClean is required. Those are for anti-static carpets that we need in dispatch. Computer and software licenses. I dropped this down to $10,000. I want to look over the next year to see what I can consolidate with the IT department as far as licenses. I am leaving it at $10,000 because there are certain things that I mentioned, the policy management system that I want to implement here. It costs about $8,000. So I'm leaving that line as is. Adobe Acrobat, we already purchased this. There was no need to budget an additional $2,000 for it. Cisco, this is our phone system. Right now, the police department exists on its own island here. We're not integrated with the town system. One of the things that I'd like to do, and I've reached out to the IT director, we're going to explore abandoning the Cisco system and jumping on the town system. It may be a cost neutral thing. We'll explore the costs to do it. I do think in the long run that it will be cheaper overall. So that's one thing that I'm going to explore over the next year. The elevator, the HVAC, the certification for the elevator, basement systems, the generator. These are all things that I verified. We need them for contracts and we do have them here. One thing I did change is the fire extinguisher. The actual cost is $660 down from $2,000. And the license plate reader software we still have. Our total in this line, I did leave out the pole mounted ALPR cameras that I'm considering purchasing. We are getting our first year on those covered by the JAG grant. During that first year, I'm going to look at their effectiveness, see if we are solving crimes with them, if they're making a difference. If they are, then great, we can keep them. If not, we'll get rid of them. We'll see where they're effective. We're putting up a bunch of them. I think they would be effective on main roadways and solving crimes. And, you know, it would have been effective at that double fatal. It would have seen the car coming in and out of Oxford. So that's just one example. I left that out of the line though, because we're looking at grants for that. So the total in this line is $52,800. Anyone have any questions? I know that was a lot to go through there.
No, I don't think at this point, Chief.
Okay. So going on to communication and telephone, these lines are things that we require. NetMotion is our VPN that we're required to use from the patrol cars to headquarters. Accurate is a program that we use for background checks. NextGen is our CAD, our computer aided dispatch and records management software. The initial invoice, the initial budgeted amount for that was $12,000. It's actually $17,750. So AT&T and Verizon, you notice we're paying $18,000 for AT&T and $17,000 for Verizon. Verizon's our cell phone, AT&T are our vehicle modems. I actually think we could reduce the cost by this by going onto one vendor. And that's something that I have set up in the next few weeks. I have meetings with both AT&T FirstNet and Verizon to compare the costs for lines and to see if we could actually reduce this amount, because it is a significant amount with cell phones and vehicle modems, what we're paying to two different vendors. I honestly don't think we're getting the best price for this. So it's something I'm going to look into. I removed the $1,500 for Citrix. We don't use that anymore. The park cameras, the milestone server is required to get the camera feed. Email hosting, I zeroed out. Comcast is accurate. The backup batteries that we need to replace downstairs are accurate. They are expensive. Frontier is another expense that I'm going to look at if we change phone vendors. This could potentially go away if we do away with copper lines. Same thing with Earthlink. And our park cameras for Comcast, that's an accurate cost. And that leaves us at $91,950. Travel and vehicle allowance, that's been steady for the last few years at $500. I didn't change that. General supplies. Again, I have to look into some of these, but from what I can see, most of these are accurate. Professional dues and fees, I think we could reduce somewhere. The officer meals are accurate. They are $20 each now, but I don't think we need to increase that right now. Radar laser certification is accurate. Petty cash is accurate. Supplies and postage, I'm going to reduce that by 1,000. We have Pitney Bowes in the other line for that. We do need some general supplies around here, and this seems to be what we pay each year and out of this line. So I left it at $30,950. Canine supplies, we are going to increase that by $2,500 just because the cost of food is going up for the dogs. It was $5,000 for many years. I increased that to $7,500. Clothing allowance, this is contractual. If you add up everybody that is entitled to a clothing allowance per their contract, this is the cost. Gasoline, we were at 70,000 the last few years. I went back and just because I didn't know where to start with this, I pulled the last 6 months of gas reports that we had. Here's your average price per gallon. Here's the gallons that we're using, and there's the total amount of money. Your average price over the last 6 months was $2.69. We purchased it each month at a different price. Your average amount of gallons is 2,362. I tacked on 6 cents just to that average to give you an average price of $2.75. It's expected to go up. And our yearly gallons are projected at about 28,000. Just going off this last 6 months, that gave me $78,000. I rounded up to 80,000 for gasoline, just so we don't go over. Machinery and equipment. Some things here we just didn't need, and we're being budgeted for again. DefTech canisters, we haven't used those in years. I zeroed that out. Flares, I got to look at how many we have. I may be able to actually reduce this some more. So computer upgrades was originally $13,000. I cut it by $7,000. We purchase computers for our cars. We buy Dell ruggedized laptops, and they're about $1,700 a piece. We didn't need $13,000 to replace that many computers. So I cut that a little. Narcan, that's something we use. It has to be replaced. I'm hoping we can upgrade our park cameras. We've been having some issues with them. I left $4,000 in for that. And radar, again, I have to take a look at this because it appears in another line for certification and calibration. I don't know if this is for something new or if we need to buy a new unit. So I left it in there for now. Vehicle maintenance. This one I'm going to have to take a look at. And this is what was left to me from the previous chief. He had bought a lot of tires. I don't see the need for that. We have a separate line for vehicle maintenance. I did not reduce the cost because we spend this amount of money every year for vehicle upfitting. The overhead lights and accessories are not $6,940. It is more like $17,000 per car. We do have one car to do. So I left the line itself, the $30,000 alone. I am not asking for a new car this year. Like I said, we secured one via donation and by trading in at least 5 other vehicles that we've had here who are sitting around and doing nothing. So we're going to get rid of some cars. We received a donation to cover the rest. There's going to be a net zero for the town. If we do need a car, I'm not afraid to ask for one. We can get through 1 year for a car without a car, and we're going to plan on doing that. The last line, Chairman, you actually asked me to separate this out and create a different line for body worn camera. This is done by the Police Accountability Act. This is our yearly storage fees for body camera video and in-car video. It's about $32,000 per year. This is required by the Accountability Act. I also would like to purchase some extra cameras, some four extra body cameras. In my experience, those are the things that tend to break due to whatever reason, whether rough usage, a fight, or something you get into. And then once we do it, once we roll out the program, which should be by the end of the month, hopefully, we're going to be required to wear them all the time. So I'd like to purchase 4 cameras to use in case of breakage. And then this is our storage. We will try to keep this cost low is this going to be a recurring cost every year? We're going to try to keep it low by adhering to strict retention policies. If we don't need the video, we're going to get rid of it after a certain amount of time. We'll do our best to keep that low. And that's every line that I have. I am open to any questions. I realize that there is still some work to do as I go through my next year, and that's about it.
Oh, thank you, Chief. And you're going to be looking at, as you said, you're going to be looking at some of the numbers that are here anyway. So yes. I would think at some point, you'll have a new set of numbers
Yes.
to, to put in, which is fine. And that's as that's the way it should be. Let me ask you one thing, and to keep in mind, you said the policy issue was $8,000.
Yes. Yep.
I would keep that, because I know that's something that's been talked about.
Okay.
And I would look at that, and also versus whatever projected savings you're going to come out with in looking at the budget.
Okay.
Just to see if it's a doable item
All right.
to put it in, because I can tell you that I've always been a big believer in training and policies and procedures and all that. And I think I still have my old duty manual from when I was on someplace in
Yeah.
one of my closets. but I think it's important, and no, without promising anything, obviously it's worth a look-see to see what's plans to come off versus what may have to go on. You may find other items that, gee, you forgot about, you have to put on or something like that. One common question that gets asked every year in the payroll line item, given that during the year it's inevitable that people will call out sick or get injured or whatever, and there are insurance compensation that comes into play.
Mhm.
Has your salary figure factored in the reduction of, let's say, one officer's wages for a year that would be funded by insurance reimbursements? That
I have not.
okay?
I haven't done that.
Yeah, because I think that's also worth a look, just to see what that would shake out to be.
Okay.
Because invariably when it's a function of the job, guys get hurt, guys get sick, whatever. And if insurance steps in to pick up some of that cost, that may be a little bit of an ease on the budget. Not that we're wishing anything to happen to anybody, of course not. But if it's a fact that there can be some help, let's put it that way, financially to the town, that would be something you want to look at also.
Okay.
Okay. With that said, any of the board members have any questions at all for the chief on anything? Wow, you've got us all spellbound, chief.
Well, that was easier than I thought then. Good.
Either that or we're laying in wait, one of the two. I can't.
Well, whatever.
I can't commit either way, to be honest with you. But I think it's what we're all seeing, and we've asked for, not only from you, from all of the town departments, is just a rational look at what realistically can be, expected.
Sure.
And we, as I've told the Board of Ed, I'll tell you, and I'll tell every town department that this is the first pass at this document. And obviously you're already saying you're going to take the next step of, let's say, trying to fine tune it.
Sure.
You're the second largest budget we've got in the town, obviously. And one of those, what we'll probably do is a revisit to this at some point. We don't start our deliberations until probably the beginning of March. I mean, give or take a couple of days here or there. But if in the meantime you do make any changes, you have any additional information or whatever, I would send it into Doug.
Okay.
So that we can get it and we can take a look at it.
Okay.
Because any advance notice, these are not things we want to rush through. You've had time that you needed to put this thing together, and we owe it to the town to do our job and study these things.
Sure.
So as I said, when you put your final stuff together, or what you hope to be your final stuff, send it along. This, as I said, and we've said it to all the departments. We appreciate the accuracy and of the wish list and all. Will all the departments get everything they wanted? We can't guarantee anything at this point.
Sure.
We would like to.
I understand.
I'd like to tell you that, and don't forget to put in for the helicopter. But your predecessors didn't want to do that.
Oh, I don't think we need a helicopter either. So
you see, that's one thing I didn't hear. But anyway, but as I said, we're all in this thing together. Taxpayers, board members, whatever. So if you can, at your convenience, take a look at these numbers. If
Sure.
you've got any questions or anything, historically or whatever that you think I can be a help with, or the selectman's office, don't hesitate to reach out.
I won't.
And so I'll pass it back one more time. So are there any other questions for our chief on this at all? Rich, anything?
I got absolutely nothing. We're good.
I think that's a first. Karen, anything, or Kristen? Karen's got a problem with her camera, so I'll have.
Sorry. No, the only question I have is, Chief, and I know some of this was left for you and you still are going through it. And in time, as Bill stated, you will probably come back with some different numbers. Do you have a plan, though, however, of a line item that you have identified if the budget isn't the number you're requesting? Do you have a plan as to how you are going to or where you're going to be able to have an alternative plan?
Meaning if I can cut something, if I had to?
Correct.
I would probably go to general supplies or something of that nature and try to, and I know it sounds cliche, but to do more with less. I mean, I'll take a look at what we actually purchase here, what we need, and see if I could take from there.
Yeah, excellent. I appreciate that.
Okay.
No
problem.
and I'm just going off of what my experience just with the last budget we listened to. Bill had said, our board had kind of said, what is our, what kind of plans can we make, so we have an idea of how to move forward. So I just appreciate knowing that there is a plan in place.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll sit down and take a look, and like I said, we'll just end up doing more with less. I mean, we'll get through this year, and we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, you're anticipating filling one of the deputy chief's positions July 1?
I'm hoping actually for sooner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to get an idea of any kind of timing or whatever. I'm guessing you're full strength now, hence one recruit only planned for.
Yeah, and we're trying to get some lateral officers in. We have some in the background process right now. Obviously that saves us a tremendous amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
So if we could, we have 3 that are in the process right now. So if we can get them on, and they have to pass all the stages,
Understood.
They have to go through the testing just like anybody else, and things happen during that process. But right now they're in the background phases. They're undergoing their testing. And, that's one of the things we do is take a look at their personnel files from their police department, because we want to see what kind of cop they would be here. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But if we can get lateral officers, we're trying that.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Any other questions for our chief at all? Okay, well, hearing none. Chief, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Pleasure speaking to you. And as I said, if there's anything you come up with or questions, don't hesitate to ask. We'll be more than glad to help you.
Thank you very much.
Whenever you get your numbers done, send them over and we can take a look. Anne Marie,
Okay.
do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just have a statement. I appreciate Chief Bugarati going through line by line and understanding the potential deficit that the town may potentially have, and doing his part in trying to keep the numbers and the budgets down in the meanwhile, all keeping his department safe and current with the new standards.
Thank you.
All the best and good luck, Chief, obviously.
Thank you very much.
With that, we'll turn it over to Rich for his usual. Rich,
Guess it's that time. Motion to adjourn.
Chris? You're on mute.
I'll second.
Silly question, but all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Another silly question. Opposed? Hearing none. Chair votes aye. Thank you for coming, and we will talk to everybody on Wednesday. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Take care.